let's give a few more minutes here just to see if we can get a couple more attendees.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is Nick from Acumen. Thanks again for everyone for joining us on Webinar Wednesdays. Today we've invited Altec to present their solution called DOCLINK. It's the SAGE-endorsed document management and process automation solution. We all know that the payables process can be very, very time-consuming and also very, very expensive. So today we're going to learn how you can gain control of that data by automating AP and eliminating the paper, the expensive process and time-consuming piece, and streamline some other business processes as well. And so hopefully we can start to give you some ideas on how DOCLINK can help improve efficiencies in AP, as well as HR or any other department for that matter throughout your enterprise. So with us this morning is Patrick Nguyen, and I'm going to hand it over to Patrick, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about what I just said, and also take us for a quick tour. So Patrick, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Acumen, for allowing us to present to you folks. My name is Patrick Nguyen. I'm Sales Director here at Altec. Today we're going to talk about automating your AP process with DOCLINK, Sage document management solution. Today's topics of discussions, we're going to walk through the value of automating your AP process, what is DOCLINK, how to automate AP, how to automate other departments such as HR, contracts, and other use case for document management or even content management for that matter, document and content managed through DOCLINK. And then we're going to talk about some customer examples and successes that we've had here at Altec with some Sage customers. Digital transformation is happening everywhere. And what happens when you are, you as a person, when you're traveling or when you're outside in the real world, what do you do if you want to find something? We pull out our phone, we look, up things on Google, on Yelp, read reviews, find information in things in places that we want to go, places we want to eat. Right? It's really easy. Things are at our fingertips. But when it comes to your office, things are different. A lot of organizations still store things in paper. Information is dispersed all over the place between different locations, different departments, so that finding everything becomes tough because everything is stored in filing cabinets, right? That's where DOCLINK is going to be able to help you. Time and money is the key driver for AP automation, right? Most AP departments suffer from high AP transaction costs and cycle times, right? Taking too long to get things approved, things to get processed. But research have shown, for example, with Ardent Partners, that AP automation, managing things electronically can significantly lower the cost of processing and the time per invoice, as shown in the chart that you see here. When companies are able to automate their AP process, they've been able to see lowering the costs, roughly about 81%, and processing time of AP invoices 73% faster than traditional paper-based AP. So imagine if you're able to process your invoices faster, reducing the cost there, not only overhead costs, but then being able to pay vendors early. Maybe you get a new, vendor discount for paying early or paying on time so that you don't get charged late fees. Further research have shown that top initiatives by companies when looking at streamlining AP is to go paperless and automating the workflow. And based on the study from the Institute of Financial Management, these two items emerge as the top AP automation priorities. Number one, that comes on the top of the list, and it's clear, is from the report from IOFM, is that 78% of the respondents employ straight-through processing when it comes to invoices and automating their invoice process. And number two, second highest thing here is that the priority is to have workflow, right? Being able to have workflow, automating their processes, and a lot of these organizations have been able to save 3 years of time and effort there. So that's really important, being able to automate things, managing things electronically. Another resource is the PricewaterhouseCoopers. They've done an analysis what it would take organizations to process and manage invoices via paper. Filing documents, retrieving documents, recreating, or finding documents that are lost, misplaced, or destroyed, right? Having to recreate that. So the cost of touching documents is unnecessary, and there's definitely better use not only for your staff and your time, but all your department. So in the current AP world, there are 4 elements necessary for AP success. And the key 4 things are visibility, collaboration, control, and automation. And we're going to touch on each one of these in more depth in the next slides. So with visibility, let's touch on visibility. Visibility into liabilities and operating expenses is the basic requirement for most major functions within an enterprise. It is used to give the overall view of operations and establish standards on which to base strategies for performance improvements. It's also the key factor of giving AP department a higher degree of influence as strategic partners in the business. So employee productivity, process efficiency, invoice processing time, and cash flow optimization. Next, let's touch on collaboration. Collaboration, cross-function coordination among key stakeholders, right? Different departments, different groups, such as accounts payable, the procurement team, the finance, treasury, suppliers, the different departments, creates an environment where key information can flow between the different groups, different people, and the different key stakeholders. Without this, things can be lost, things can be, communication can be lost, can be delayed. Next is control. Good audit controls help organizations, and we find this a lot. A lot of organizations realize that by implementing DOCLINK, having invoices electronically and managing that process, keeping an audit log of everything, it helps and improve their audits with regulations, whether you're with healthcare or with the IRS or your auditors, right? Whether it's financial audits or HR audits, whatever audits you have, certainly control is the key there. Automation, last point here. Technology solutions like DOCLINK help manage invoices and the workflows, as well as the electronic payment methods to reduce inefficiencies that result from manual paper-based processes that you folks have today. So automation is a critical foundation of lowering the cost for processing AP invoices and streamlining it so that you don't have to manage and touch each and every invoice and only manage by exception. So how does DOCLINK work for AP automation? And we're going to touch on other aspects of DOCLINK beyond AP automation. So the key thing is it's about connecting the different processes and procedures within your organization, connecting folks within your organization, getting things that require approval, things that need to be reviewed, streamlines any business processes, operation procedures, controlling of the document and data, and of course, allowing you to deliver these documents to whether it's folks internally that need to approve it or folks externally. So DOCLINK can be utilized internally or externally. You might consider it as like a vendor portal, customer portal, should you give access to folks remotely or externally from your organization. So what is DOCLINK? What can you do? The core system of DOCLINK is the core repository where everything is stored. From there, you want to be able to bring in documents or content. A lot of different avenues and a lot of different ways you could bring in documents and content. You could scan paper-based documents into the system. We can utilize OCR, and if you folks don't know what OCR is optical character recognition. Allows you to scan in information. Quite often, OCR is utilized for like AP invoices, where we're able to read the data on the invoice, repurpose it, do three-way matching, two-way matching, automate the entry into the Sage ERP system. Also, for non-PO based, allow you to capture the information, route it through an approval workflow, and allow you to manage only by exception. Print capture. So we have a capability of print capture, bringing a lot of different documents into our system from your ERP system. So imagine if you have an AR report, or if you have financial statement or anything that comes out of your Sage ERP system that you want to print and bring it into DOCLINK, you certainly can do that. We also have automated import where we can bring things in automatically from network locations that we could pick up, things from email. We could monitor email addresses and bring documents in from there that are attachments to email. We could also read barcodes. And once documents are in our system, you can send documents out, whether you want to email documents out and automate the process to send out emails, send out supporting documents. You could print things out if you have permissions to do so. You can send it out via fax, FTP, file copy, a lot of different ways that you can deliver documents to other folks in your organization or externally outside your organization. And of course, once documents or content are inside DOCLINK, you can have workflow around them. Workflow can be routed from one person to the next person or from one group to the next group so that each person in each group can do their assigned tasks. You can have specific routing rules so that the system automatically knows who to route it to based on certain conditions. So for instance, an AP invoice, you may have routing rules based on a vendor, based on dollar amount, based on how it was coded, based on what was purchased, things like that. We also have forms capability where you can create all different types of business forms in our system. Quite often, common use case of forms could be expense report, purchase requisition, new vendor setup, credit card reconciliation, things like that on the finance accounting side. But then on HR, there's could be a ton of different other forms that you can manage through DOCLINK as well, such as new employee onboarding, maybe resume review, time off requests, personnel action notice, things like that. And of course, our seamless two-way integration with Sage and the Sage ERP you're using, where we could push and pull data back and forth between DOCLINK and Sage, specifically on the purchasing and the AP invoice side. And then a lot of different ways to retrieve documents, whether you're accessing documents directly from the Sage ERP screens. Nothing's stored in Sage, everything's stored in DOCLINK, but we have buttons in the Sage screen so that click of a button sends a message back to DOCLINK to pull the document related to the screen or documents related to the screen that you're on. A lot of different ways to access DOCLINK beyond Sage. We have web access, we have our smart client access, and then of course mobile app as well. So DOCLINK quite often begins with AP because AP is such a paper-intensive process here in the States. A lot of our clients, I would say at least 80% of our clients come to us with the need to manage and automate their AP process, and then they grow from there and utilize DOCLINK in other aspects of their business and departments. So automate accounts payable. There are three major benefits in using DOCLINK to automate your AP process. The ability to provide self-service document access, right? Allowing your users to access documents as it relates to AP in a timely manner when they need it, timely approvals, and then eliminate any filing and minimize or eliminate any data entry you need into Sage ERP when we're able to automate that process with our seamless integration into your Sage ERP system. So this illustration, as you see here, shows, a new payables process, an invoice that comes in. A lot of organizations go through this process, talking to our clients, being in the industry for a while. A paper process goes through, invoice, open mail, PO, routing of mail, coding, approval. There's 12 processes here that is managed with a paper-based AP process. So if you implement DOCLINK and able to utilize DOCLINK as the solution to automate your AP process, we're able to eliminate 9 out of the 12 processes here. So automating AP becomes a high need, high value. Imagine all the time and effort, employees' time, not necessarily just AP, but other folks in your organization managing the paper process all manually today with AP. Eliminating 100% of the paper process reduces the time of approval, allow you to get invoices into the system and process in a timely manner, saving you folks time and effort. Definitely speeds up the process and helps reduce costs throughout your organization. Here's an example of one. So an invoice to pay process with DOCLINK. Invoice comes in, we automatically pick it up. We can utilize OCR to pick up the necessary data and information. It automatically sends it out for approval. Once it gets to someone to approve, he or she approves it, logs in the system. A lot of different ways. We'll touch on all the different ways you can do approval in a second, but let's say they go into the system, they view the invoice, they hit on approve. Once it's approved, we automatically ingest it into the Sage ERP system. Transaction gets created. From there, all you need to do is post and submit payment through Sage. And then as part of our integration with Sage, we also pick up the payment details and assign it to the document. We could also pick up a copy of the remittance, whether you made payment via ACH or cut a physical check, we can pick up a remittance of that and store it in our system and link it to the invoices that it pays. So kind of full cycle there, and full document management of all the documents related to the invoice. And if there's a PO, we can bring in the PO as well. So a lot of different ways you could do approval. I said I'll touch on that. So email is one of the ways. And here's an email inbox. You get an invoice sent via email as an approval. An approver, I open it. The document, the invoice could be attached to the email here, as you see. We can configure the body of the email to say certain things, that maybe have details about the invoice, however you folks want. And then within the body of the email, so imagine as a user, you never even have to log into the system. Simply view the invoice from your email, click approve or deny right from email without having to log into any system, right? Whether you're doing the email from your mobile email or from your laptop or desktop email, can be utilized for both. Other way to do approval is directly from mobile app, log in through mobile app. We support iOS devices, so Apple, iPads, and iPhones. Also, Android compatible devices, so Android compatible phones as well as tablets. We have a mobile app for those too. Or you can log into DOCLINK directly, and from there see a list of all the things that you need to approve. Click on one, take a look at it, invoices here, and do your approvals right directly through DOCLINK itself. So once again, there's email approval right from email, do mobile approval through the mobile app, or logging into DOCLINK and doing approvals there. So 3 different ways you could do approvals depending on the user and how you want to do approvals. So regardless of how the document comes into your organization, you can safely, the key thing is safely capture and automatically index the document utilizing, picking up the invoices from email. We highly recommend, if you can get as many invoices via email as possible, because it saves you time not only having to open up the mail and scanning it, but if it's from email, we could automatically pick it up. It also saves your vendor costs too, because they don't have to print it out, they don't have to mail it out, so postage costs. So imagine if it saves them money, speeds up your process, and eliminates, a couple steps there. Being able for our system, DOCLINK, to automatically pick it up from email, OCR it, run it through the recognition process, automate the matching for PO-based invoice. Standard invoice will need to have approvals coded, and then the key thing is being able to push the invoice into Sage without having to manually key it. And the key thing is only manage by exception, right? If things don't match up or things require approval, then it goes through a process. If not, straight through processing, eliminating a lot of steps. It also helps by implementing DOCLINK, improve visibility and reporting within your organization. So managing workflow statuses, things that are stuck in workflow, things that are falling behind. There's a workflow manager where you're able to view, who's this invoice with, why is it falling behind, things that require immediate touching, things that are in priority. So you'll always have visibility on where things are at. Matted audit trails. So with our audit trails, it shows full audit history of what happens to the document from when it comes in, who's approved it, when they approved it, date and time stamp, but then also any views or any changes to the document or edits, certainly full audit history there. And definitely improve financial reporting, generating accruals, things that are outstanding, so that what is due to be paid to your vendors, to our system as well. And of course, streamlining intercompany accounting. We can do multi-entity accounting. If you have multiple companies, which a lot of organizations do, certainly we can automate that process and have our integration with Sage in terms of intercompany or multiple company accounting. Definitely improves accuracy by reducing any human errors, forgetfulness. We've heard this a lot too with organizations where the AP team sometimes miskey things in, so that sometimes, one number is off or so on and so forth. Having a system like DOCLINK definitely improves that process to automate the invoice, having security, having the data looked at so that you're not inputting the wrong information into Sage in the transaction. And security is the key. We're going to touch on this a little bit more. So as you roll this out for your accounting or other groups, legal, HR, security becomes important. So let's touch on security. Security can be done at multiple levels. Just like your Sage ERP system, we can have multiple companies inside our system. So the top level of security is company. Me as a user, when I log into DOCLINK, which company can I access? Next level of security is based on department and document types. In a document type, what I mean by document type is, let's say, for instance, an AP invoice is a document type. A purchase order is a document type. A contract could be a document type. A resume could be a document type. So things like that. There's no limit in terms of the number of companies you can create, number of document types that you can create inside our system, really up to you. And then with document types, me as a user, what document type can I access? Maybe I'm an AP clerk, I'm in accounting. I only need to access documents related to AP. Next level security is property values. So property values, for instance, property values are metadata values, values that are assigned to the document. So for instance, I'm an AP clerk, maybe I can only access invoices as it relates to company ABC, and I can only access AP related invoices. But maybe I only work with vendors that start with A through M, for instance. So I would only be able to see invoices for company ABC, AP invoices for vendors that start with A through M, for instance. Like an example of limiting access based on property values. We take it one step further. Once you're able to access the document, what can you do with it? What can I do with it? Can I print it out? Can I delete it? Can I email it out? Can I make changes to the property value? Can I make annotations on the document? What can I do with it once I'm able to access the document? And whatever happens to the document, we keep a full audit log and audit history on everything that happens. So a lot of detailed security there. We even have redaction capability. So if you folks think about, hey, I want to utilize this for HR, there might be sensitive information such as Social Security or date of birth that you folks want to be able to utilize the system for. Certainly, you could redact certain information there.
Patrick, I think we lost your screen share.
Oh, we did? Okay, hold on a second. That was weird. How's it look now?
We're back.
Oh, we're back. Okay, good. Thanks for notifying me, Nick. So, AP automation. Here's some customer successes that we've been able to accomplish with automating AP invoice for customers. Some examples. Here's a tourist destination. If you've ever been to the Palm Springs area here in California, we're based here in California, corporate office in Laguna Hills, California. So one of our clients in California is the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway, which was opened back in 1963. 20 million people, over 20 million people. Oh, looks like I lost sharing again for some reason. Hold on a second. Hopefully I'm back on now. Over 20 million people have traveled this aerial tramway. It's about a 10-minute tramway ride. It's about 2.5 miles, which is considered the world's largest rotating tram car, which is in Palm Springs. And visitors can enjoy the 2 restaurants that's there, and observation of the deck in museums and other things, but certainly a large client of ours, the tramway. And the tramway, they're continuously growing. A lot of customers are visiting the tram, and over the past 15 years, they've experienced more than 50% growth. And the business impact has been significant, requiring new processes and procedures, managing things electronically, especially starting with their AP invoices that they were getting. So managing paperwork, having an audit trail, having forms was important. Managing their PO process all electronically with purchase requisition. That was the key thing. An AP person's workload 14 years ago was unmanageable. They had were considering adding additional employees, but by adding DOCLINK, they were able to do more with the same amount of employees without having to add more. So really good success story here where they were able to grow without having to add additional staff. And over the past 10 years, definitely improved their business processes and automating their process to where they don't have to manage everything in paper anymore. Basically eliminated paper and manage everything electronically. Here's a federally recognized Native American tribe, Citizen Potawatomi Nation Cultural Heritage Center. So their key thing was also AP invoices. Everything was in paper. They had 20 rolling filing cabinets in their office. And what they've been able to do is one of our longtime customers as well, completely eliminate offsite storage, which they had offsite storage. So they were paying for offsite storage because they couldn't keep all these on site. Reducing the time that AP clerks had to spend researching, managing paper, which often took weeks to manage an AP invoice. They were able to went from weeks or 1 week to 1 day. So a lot of their invoices processes is right about a day in terms of processing time. So high customer value here, but beyond AP. So we kind of touched on beyond APs. They started with the AP, and now manage it also for HR invoices. I mean HR documents, excuse me. So they have for employees over 20 different HR document types, forms, background checks, and benefit information, things like that, which all organizations do, right? I've heard up to 30, 40 different document types in some organizations that they need to store and manage for employees. So Citizen Potawatomi Nation, what they had was over 20 and able to manage that all electronically now as well as AP. Here's the mechanical service company, Herman J. Goldmer, started his business in 1887 in his basement, delivering supplies utilizing wheelbarrows, horse-drawn carts, and things like that back before there was automobiles, right? Serving customers in the Northeast area, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Northern Delaware area. Company implemented a basic file server digital archiving system offered through their printer and vendor, so that all invoices related to documents were already stored electronically. But however, the system provided no digital workflow, no workflow capability. So the workflow was all still managed. They were still sending out emails, managing that all electronically, manually, without automation and without trackability as well as auditability. And of course, zero integration into their Sage ERP system. So with DOCLINK, they were able not only manage the invoices electronically, but then have the automation of the workflow. So that's the key here. They wanted to automate their workflow process. By implementing DOCLINK, they were able to significantly reduce the number of time or the time efforts required to touch invoices and track things down. The company also uses DOCLINK to ensure that any correspondence, such as disputes or conflicts, were resolved. They also tracked the notes and stored emails and things like that. So certainly we could store emails and link emails to invoices into our system as well. Here's a communication company called Smart City, growing telecommunication company, following multiple mergers and acquisitions, is a leading provider of event technology services nationwide. The company wanted to make the approval process for invoices more efficient and was motivated also to go green, right? So the accounting department was challenged with managing the approval, routing processes, and on a manual basis. Invoices were simply not moving quickly enough through their system, and the company needed a way to route invoices to the appropriate people, managers, directors, VPs, without the risk of losing important records in the process, and to receive those approvals back in a timely fashion. And with DOCLINK, they are entirely paperless now. All of their accounting records are now available and accessed virtually. And because everything is electronic, items can no longer be delayed and someone's sitting on someone's desk or inadvertently thrown in the trash, right? So as a communication company, Smart City is required to store invoices for a longer period of time than most organizations. So I think that the standard is like 7, but they were required to store things even longer. So they had 40 filing cabinets that are completely gone. Approval delays cut by 90% from 5 days to 1. Saved hundreds of hours in terms of keying, invoices into the system. Every month, hundreds. I think they were somewhere around 4,000 invoices per month was what they're processing, and definitely saved time in their audits as well. So they were able to realize saving time and saving costs with their annual audits as well. Here's another customer, Auto Club. Everybody's familiar with AAA. Well, this is AAA of Carolinas, where they were able to automate their business process. They have different departments and groups in their organization and different AP departments where they're able to manage all their AP electronically. But something that they're also looking to do is manage other areas in their business, like their contracts. Soon, they're fully up and running on the AP side, but one of the other areas, or some of the other areas, is like managing contracts that they're looking to do. Also, HR was another area that they're looking to expand to as well. And next step also is expanding DOCLINK into their claims department, managing claims and whatnot. So a lot of different areas where DOCLINK can help. So how can DOCLINK impact everyone in your organization? So we touch a lot on AP. AP becomes like a need. Like I mentioned, 80% of our customers come with a need for AP, but a lot of different areas in your organization that can utilize DOCLINK as well. So imagine human resources and all the different documents related to human resources, forms that human resources have, such as new employee onboarding process, resume review, personnel action notice, maybe time off requests, all the different HR and employee forms that you may have. Field service, maybe you folks are a field service organization, right? So imagine if you have folks out on the field where you want to be able to look things up quickly, right? Utilize your mobile, look up a document. Maybe you're at a customer site. You're a service organization, you're doing service for an equipment. You want to take a before and after picture and load it into DOCLINK and store it under the customer file. Certainly can do that as a field service utilizing mobile. Contract management. A lot of different use case for contract management because we have version control, check in, check out. You might have changes to contracts and you can make those edits and track all the edits and all the different versions of the contracts. But then with contracts, there's also expiration dates. So with contracts, you can track expiration dates and then send out notifications for individuals to look at the contract before they expire. Maybe it's a vendor contract or a customer contract. You need to renegotiate terms or whatever that may be, or you need to renew. Get notified in 60 days before it expires, 90 days, whatever you want to put that time period to be, certainly can manage that and automate that process. But similar to contracts, your employees may have certification requirements. So we could track certifications for employees as well, and when they expire, recertifications, training needs, and things like that. Asset management, asset tracking, expense report. So the list goes on and on. A lot of different areas, groups, and departments throughout your organization that brings value, that DOCLINK can bring value to. We talked a lot about documents, but then also content. We have customers storing engineering drawings, WAV files, multimedia files, picture images, things like that. Anything and everything can be managed through DOCLINK. It really comes down to what your server space is, right? Because document is software you folks purchase, is installed on your server. The documents and content are stored on your server. So it really comes down to your server size. So why choose Altec Doc-Link? Well, world-class product. DOCLINK has been around for over 20 years. We have over 3,300 customers using DOCLINK to date. Most of our clients are here in the U.S., but we do have, and in Canada, but we, just because we're based here, our corporate headquarters, like I mentioned, is in Laguna Hills, California. But we have clients all over the world. We have clients in Europe, Asia, South America, Australia. So certainly world-class product. We've been around for a long time. Solution that allows you to utilize throughout your whole organization in every department. Implementation, rapid implementation. With rapid implementation, the key thing is we deliver on time, on budget, and with a proven methodology with our team that is knowledgeable. Our own consulting team, implementation team, service team here, roughly about 30 folks as part of our service organization. So definitely help you folks get up and running in a timely manner. And of course, our outstanding customer support. We provide support 24/7, 365 days a year. There's always someone on call as part of our support team, all internal support to support our clients. No matter what time, day, if it's a holiday, there's always someone on call to support our clients. And with that, appreciate your folks' time. Want to open things up for questions. Max, Nick, I don't know if there's any questions that came throughout this presentation. Certainly, a lot of slides we covered today, a lot of information. If you folks are interested in learning more about DOCLINK or how it can help your organization, get in touch with Acumen, the folks there. Here's their contact information. And we certainly can schedule a more in-depth discussion, but do want to open things up. Wondering if there's any questions that came through.
Sure, and if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A, and we'll monitor that, see if any come in.
Okay, Patrick, looks like we did get a few here. First one is, can prior invoices already paid get added to the software and linked back to the ERP system?
Yes, absolutely. So previous invoices, if it's in paper, go ahead and scan it in. If you have it electronically already, we can import them in utilizing our automated import. But yes, certainly. And it can be linked to the transactions as well, historical transactions.
Okay. Does DOCLINK match purchase orders to an invoice?
Yes, that is part of our AP automation process. So there's two processes, right? There's the standard invoice process and there's the PO-based invoice process. So with the PO-based, once we bring it into our system, let's say we run it through the scan and OCR, we pick up all the necessary data, the header, footer information, as well as the line item details, and automate the matching process so that you folks don't have to do it manually, and only manage by exceptions if things don't match up, right? So we do a three-way match, the invoice to the PO to the packing slip.
How do you get the invoices and backup into the system, and is it by scanning?
The invoice backup, yeah, if it's in paper, you scan. If it's electronic, you could import it in. But you certainly could store the backups to the invoice. Now, if the backups come from your Sage ERP system, let's say one of the backup documents could be the PO itself. Certainly we touched on earlier in the presentation is a print capture capability. So you could print capture, you're not printing it to paper. There's an electronic print drive that says print to DOCLINK. You select that and it goes electronically into DOCLINK. So if the supporting document, let's say, is a PO or the check payment can automatically come in as well. The only thing that will probably be in paper that's supporting to the invoice is probably the packing slip, which is usually coming with the package, so that's paper. You would scan that in.
Okay. Does DOCLINK create an icon on Sage modules to view attached invoices?
Yes, we have a button on the screen, a View Documents button, so when you're under the specific transaction, whether you're in PO or AP, you click on the button and it sends a message back to DOCLINK that, hey, I want to see documents related to this transaction that I'm on the screen. So yes, any related documents to that screen will come up.
Okay, looks like we have two more here, Patrick.
Is a document retention policy able to be built into DOCLINK?
Yes, you can set up retention management so that, you know, at certain time you can get notification that, hey, these need to be, you know, archived out and removed out of the system so that there's no more history of that. Often what we see from clients is they're able to archive things out, maybe put it onto a CD or an external drive so that it's not part of the core DOCLINK anymore, but if they ever needed to bring it back, they can, or you can completely delete it.
Okay, and last one, can files from outside departments be imported into DOCLINK in order for AP or AR to see those documents as a part of the streamlined workflow?
Yes, you certainly can, and it all comes down to, you know, what documents you want to allow which users to see. So if you want to bring in documents from other departments, you certainly can, as long as, you know, the user has access. They can. You can have workflows. Workflows not only limited to AP. You can have workflows for any document, any content, for any group.
Right. Okay, and looks like a couple more came in here, Patrick. How would the invoice be coded, the GL account?
So if it's a PO-based invoice, you don't need to code it. If it's a non-PO-based invoice, those typically need to be coded because they're non-PO. So for a non-PO invoice, you can have someone code it. It could be a manager that does the coding, or AP could do the coding, really up to your business process, and we can configure the system accordingly. If you have default codes set up inside Sage for that vendor, we can automatically utilize those. We can create coding templates in our system. So if, let's say for AT&T, it's always coded to these 3 codes, let's say. You just select, hey, AT&T, and it automatically gets coded. You know, a lot of different ways there. And if, let's say, if a manager does the coding of the invoice, you can limit the codes that he or she can code to and view. You could do that as well.
Okay, and this one's kind of a two-parter. What is the size limit of a file stored in DOCLINK, and what types of file? TIFF, PDF? Is there any limitations on that?
No. So both answer is no limitation. So in terms of file size, it could be as large as you want. I talked about WAV files and multimedia files. So we have clients storing those. So really no limit. I mean, if it really comes down to your server space, right? Whatever your server size. If you wanted to store a movie, you can. Doesn't matter how large that file is. It really comes down to your server space. And then file type, anything. Typically, things that are on paper will be stored as TIFF or PDF. We give you the option. Most of our customers store them as TIFF because there's 5-level compression. So the file sizes are smaller than PDF. But certainly, you could bring in anything that is already in electronic format. PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint presentation, any type of image format, JPEG, bitmap, you name it. Really any file type size. You could store AutoCAD. We have customers storing AutoCAD drawings into our system. So it really doesn't matter what type of file size, file type and size. The key thing here though, is if you think you store documents that are electronic or content in their native format, you have to have the native viewer to be able to view it. That's the only key thing. So if you store AutoCAD, to be able to view it in AutoCAD, you got to open it in AutoCAD.
Okay. And then one here, we process 80% of invoices come through email. How do we capture the information and start the process in DOCLINK?
So if 80% of your invoices come via email, that's great because we can monitor that email address, pick it up, and run it through our system. So if it's a non-PO process, it'll get captured. We will OCR, pick up the necessary data, and then run it through the approval process and coding process if need be coded. For PO-based, yeah, we pick up the header, footer, line item information, automate the matching process, and if everything matches correctly, we can ingest that into your Sage ERP system, and only manage by exception. So if things don't match, and we can set up the match tolerance as well. So, typically most organizations want to make sure that the quantity is the exact match, on what you receive to what you're billed on the invoice. But sometimes price per unit can change because maybe the vendor increased their price for that one item and they didn't tell you. As long as it falls within a certain tolerance from what you have, you're okay with straight through processing, so we could set that up.
Okay, we'll leave it open here for another couple minutes to see if anything else comes in.
And certainly, if you folks have any other questions, maybe later today or later this week or in weeks to follow, and you want to, ask those questions, certainly reach out to Acumen and we can get involved. And maybe if you folks are interested in automating your AP process or processes within other departments and groups, I invite you folks to, definitely get in touch with Acumen here. Their contact information is on the screen. We could schedule a call to discuss, your process and how DOCLINK can potentially work for your business. And even provide a demo as well, schedule a demo of the solution.
Great. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in here, so I think we'll wrap it up there. And thank you very much, Patrick, for a great presentation, and thank you everyone for attending. We sincerely appreciate your time. And as Patrick said, if there's any questions or anything that we can help with, please feel free to reach out to your account manager here at Acumen, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions and get you answers to anything you need. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.